Good day everyone. Let's try to answer an item on National Mathematical Olympiad 2001 on Turkey. Here's the question. Find the product of the real roots of the equation x to the fourth plus 3x cubed plus 5x squared plus 21x minus 14 equals 0. Now, if you want to try this problem, just pause this video, and if you're ready, here's the solution. And I hope you pause this video. Now let's see if you got the correct answer. Now let's start solving this equation together. Our goal in this question is to find the product of all real roots of this equation. So no need to find out what are those roots. Our goal is just the product of all real roots. So what we're going to do, first thing is to let a, b, c, d be the roots of this equation. Therefore, we can represent this equation as follows. We have x minus a times x minus b times x minus c times x minus d equals 0. And since our goal is just the product of the roots, what we're going to do is to multiply a, b, c, and d. Now, if we do that, we can see that the product of all roots of this equation must be the constant term of our given equation. Therefore, we can say that the product of all roots of this equation, or a times b times c times d, must be equal to the constant term of this given equation, which is equal to negative 14. Now, this is correct if all roots of this equation are real numbers. But we know that complex roots comes in pairs. So here's the possibility. We have 4 real roots in this equation. Next, we have only 2 real roots and the other 2 is imaginary. And the third scenario is no real roots and there are 4 imaginary roots. In short, we are not sure if the roots of this equation must be all real numbers. That's why we cannot even say that the answer to this question is negative 14. Alright? So what we're going to do? Let's try to factor this equation. Now, let's focus on this equation. What we're going to do is to factor this equation. This is not obvious, but if we rearrange this term like this, x to the fourth power plus 5x squared minus 14 and 3x cubed plus 21x, surprisingly, x to the fourth power plus 5x squared minus 14 is factorable because positive 7 times negative 2 will give us negative 14 and positive 7 plus negative 2 will give us 5. Therefore, we can factor as x squared minus 2 times x squared plus 7. And on the other group, we can factor out 3x. If we do that, we get 3x multiplied by x squared plus 7 and then it is equal to 0. Next, as you can see, we have a common factor of x squared plus 7. So we can factor out x squared plus 7 like this. We have x squared plus 7 multiplied by x squared minus 2. We have x squared minus 2 and then plus 3x. Next, rearrange so that the exponent of x is in decreasing order. So we have x squared plus 3x minus 2 and it is equal to 0. Now let's focus on this result. Now we know that the original equation can be factored as x squared plus 7 multiplied by x squared plus 3x minus 2. Now since it is equal to 0, therefore at least one of them must be equal to 0. So we can say that x squared plus 7 equals to 0 or x squared plus 3x minus 2 must be equal to 0. Now, x squared plus 7 equal to 0, this factor cannot give us a real solution. Why? Because if we subtract 7 both sides, we get that the value of x is square root of negative 7, and that's an imaginary. Therefore, we cannot have a real solution on this factor. Now, let's move on the other factor. X squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. Now, how do we know if this factor will give us a real solution? So, one way is to check its discriminant. We have b squared minus 4ac. And in our equation, a equals 1, b equals 3, and c equals negative 2. Now, if we try to find the discriminant, we get a positive number. Now, this implies that we get a real solution to this equation. But we don't care what are those solutions. Our goal in this question is to find the product of all real solutions. So to do that, we need to let a and b be the roots of this equation. So we have x minus a multiplied by x minus b. Now multiply and we get that x squared minus a plus b multiplied by x plus ab equals 0. Now our goal is just the product of the roots. We have a times b. Now by comparison, we get the product of all real roots of this equation and it must be equal to negative 2. Therefore, our answer to the question, find the product of all real roots of the equation x to the fourth plus 3x cubed plus 5x squared plus 21x minus 14 equals 0 is negative 2. And we're done.